Safety is our #1 priority in this pandemic. And parents are especially worried about their children. The absence of in-person learning and everything else that go with it has a significant effect on their well-being. Kids missing being around their friends and their teachers. They look for social connections, and they actually need it, like we do too. In today's program, we'll talk about what steps parents can take to help their children of all ages during this pandemic. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Welcome to MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. Making sure our kids are happy, healthy, and safe amid these ongoing quarantine restrictions is not an easy feat. Mahirap talaga, and we know that. It's normal to feel worried and overwhelmed as parents navigate, adjust, and keep up with all that's happening. Our guests are here to help guide us through this. With us today are Dr. Daryl Lindo Calleja. She's a child and adolescent psychiatrist and the head of the Center of Behavioral Health at the Medical City. We also have Dr. Angie Sievert Fernandez, a developmental psychologist and certified child life specialist. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for inviting us today.
Now, the new normal for children and even adults who are in school is distance learning. And as a result, kids are missing out on the usual classroom experience. There are many challenges that come with it. The impact of remote learning vary from child to child and from one age group to another. To talk about this, let's start first with the elementary students. How are the kids in this age group adjusting or adapting? And what are the biggest challenges that they face with this situation? I'll start first with Dr. Fernandez.
One of the main considerations that we have there is that they need to move. Concentration and focus can be very difficult for young children, especially for a sustained duration. So that's one of the really main things. Now, we have to allow the children to move because moving actually helps in focus and actually helps in concentration. And these younger children are the ones also that need a lot of help with technology. Some of them might not be adept with the laptops, the computer, or when the signal goes out, the connection is not good. So they're the ones that need more supervision as well.
How about the teenagers? Hindi ba meron din ng mga teenagers ng parang teenage angst that even without these challenging situations, challenging then to understand them at this age? And I guess this is part of growing up, but how do they deal with this plus the fact with all these emotions and feelings that they have?
Doc, I really like what you started on, no? That by saying that already our teenagers are going through so much. And usually when I give talks about this, I emphasize on that kasi parang layers by layers ito. Already our teenagers are going through so much with tasks and adjustments that they have as teens. On top of that are the effects of the pandemic that is keeping them isolated, makes things uncertain, actually elicits grief in us because there are so many things that they're unable to do, makes them feel more anxious, more angry, more frustrated. These are 2 levels already. And now add on to that the difficulties of online schooling and distance learning. And what is coming out also for teens in online and distance learning, aside from focus and attention, is that sometimes they don't want their cameras on. They don't want to be seen. No? They want their cameras off, and sometimes this becomes an issue. Now, one of the most important things there is for educators and for parents to understand all these challenges that our teens are facing. How do we support them through it? 1, listen to them. Ask them how you can be of help as adults in their lives. 2, teach them how to calm down. Teach them to be able to cope with all of these challenges. And of course, to express themselves also.
And we can understand how self-motivation is a real problem here because the experience of face-to-face learning is so different to distance learning. Now, how can parents help their kids to change their mindset to be more open to this? How about, what's your opinion on this, Dr. Calleja?
Basically, as what Dr. Fernandez said, these are indeed very challenging times for our kids and for our parents as well. And it's basically relying on our parents to inspire or to engage our children to be able to do their online tasks or online school. Now, what we can do as parents is to motivate our children would basically have positive affirmations for them. Like we celebrate the small successes of online school whenever they finish a task. You could always tell them, give that verbal praise to them. It's really important during these trying times. And two, it's really very challenging during these times. It's extra difficult because they have less opportunity to build social relationships and to build their social skills. And what as parents, what we can do is to help them to be able to reach out to the other kids, like have some virtual play dates with them, connect to the other kids. So these are very important things that we can do to be able to engage them to online school and to online learning.
Now, our children may not be able to fully express themselves during these challenging times, but they're feeling the impact of COVID-19. How can we ease their worries regarding this, Dr. Calleja?
To be able to help our children in terms of decreasing the level of anxiety that they have, because their anxiety is not just for themselves but for the other parents as well now. So because of the pandemic, these are extraordinary times. The impact is not just for the kids but for the families as well. So to be able to help them decrease that anxiety, let's try to be able to provide some structure for our children. So we can devise a certain schedule for them, schedule that will contain times of meals, their downtime, their playtime, some activities. So, other than online school, we should always remember that it's not just about school and academics, but building their other skills as well. And for older kids who can already verbalize their likes and their dislikes, you can always have them take an active part in creating this schedule so that they'll be able to follow them regularly.
Okay, so parents to these children, take note. These are the sort of life hacks that you can do in order to better manage the anxiety. Now, distance learning means more time in front of computers and other gadgets. Coming up on Med Talk Health Talk, the risks and effects of too much screen time. You're watching Med Talk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. Distance learning is the new normal in this time of COVID-19. It's meant to keep families safe, but it has its many challenges. Distance learning means our children are spending more time in front of gadgets. Even before the pandemic, parents were already concerned about their kids spending too much time in front of their computers, laptops, and their phones for many reasons. For one, excessive and prolonged exposure to screens can cause serious eye problems. Dr. Calleja, can you please explain why?
Basically, prolonged use of gadgets would enable us to develop a certain form of what you call the digital eye strain. So this includes symptoms of headache, feeling of temporary blurring of visions, dry eyes. So these are the things that our children might be experiencing from too much of the screen time. It would be good if we would be able to do some things to prevent this, like making sure that your laptop or your gadget is at a certain distance from your eyes, like about 18 to 24 inches. It would also be good to rest your eyes every 20 minutes from having screen breaks, and then resting your eyes for like about 20 seconds. So it's good that you'll be able to rest your eyes. Or during online schooling, make sure that the air from the electric fan or from the aircon is not directly hitting your eye so that it won't contribute to what you call the eye strain. So these are just some of the tips from the Philippine Society of Pediatric Ophthalmology that they've released to be able to help our parents prevent digital eye strain.
Now, for the parents, what are some clues? Because I doubt their kids will be the one to say that they don't want to look at their gadgets anymore and that they need a rest. They might just keep on
Yeah.
using it on and on. What are some clues for the parents that their child is already experiencing this type of eye strain?
Sometimes, if they notice that their children become really irritable, so some younger kids cannot are not that verbal and are not able to explain that they're already having headaches, they're not like feeling well. So when they get to be irritable, what you can do would be basically to have them have some screen breaks for them, or actually as parents for the younger kids, we can schedule their screen breaks. So we can ask them to rest their eyes every 20 minutes of being in the gadget, closing their eyes for like 20 seconds every time.
Now, for Dr. Fernandez, what's a good way for the parents to make these breaks enjoyable for the child and not like sort of a tug of war between child and parent?
One of the most important things is to include the child in planning these breaks. No, remember that when a child is included and you consult the child and he has an input, compliance heightens. They're more likely to follow it. So I would suggest prior to implementing all of these, sit down, talk with your child, negotiate, allow your child to have inputs, and then agree on these. And when you have these, implement them as consistently as you can. Make it fun. Include a bit of play. Include some movement activities here and there for the kids. Spend quiet time also with them. You know? That can really be helpful for our children.
Now, Dr. Fernandez, regular sports activities are not happening, and yet we know that physical activities help the body and the mind. Let's explain this to our viewers.
Absolutely. The funny thing is sometimes teachers and parents actually want the children to sit down there for a very long time and just stare at the screen. And that's actually detrimental for the kids. We want them to move. Movement makes the brain work better. Movement actually allows the children to think better. No? They are unable to just stay seated there and for sustained attention for a length and duration. So please allow your children to move. Know what the child likes. It doesn't have to be exercise. It doesn't have to be extreme physical movement. Just few stretches here and there. As Dr. Calleja said, after 20 minutes, then maybe they can take a break. Teachers can incorporate movement activities into the schedules of the children also.
Like what Dr. Fernandez said, no, it's some of our families do have backyards, so they can actually do outdoor play still. So, unfortunately, because of the restrictions of all of the pandemic, of the quarantine, sports actually, unfortunately, took a back seat because of the pandemic. And previously, what's happening was in schools there are various sports activities that our children can join, but now because everything's put on a halt, everything's online. You see, there are a lot of resources online that can promote movement, that can promote exercise, like yoga online, or actually having exercise or Zumba for the family. So there are other activities or resources that they can look for online. And this could also actually be bonding activity for the family as well. So not just a physical activity for the child, but also for the adults, because the parents would need the physical activity as well.
That's right. And we really do want to emphasize that physical activities are effective treatment strategies for symptoms of anxiety and depression, which are becoming common during this pandemic. So parents, keep the kids moving. The more active they are, the better. When we return, we'll have some ideas on how parents can cope, manage, and ultimately support their children better in this time of COVID-19. Keep it right here on MedTalk Health Talk, right here on CNN Philippines. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and welcome back to MedTalk Health Talk. Distance learning is now part of our day-to-day. We know it's not easy, not for the kids, not for the teachers, and especially not for the parents. It's a stressful time. Dr. Calleja, what are the factors that are causing this stress on parents?
These are times that are very new to our parents. A lot of our parents nowadays are basically working from home. So you can just imagine they're working from home, juggling their work, juggling the things that need to be done inside the household, and of course, being that teacher to our children, being the teacher and supervisor, supervising them with all the tasks that they need to do in school. There are a lot of anxieties and worries in terms of our parents. Was I able to teach my child what she needs to know? Was I able to become a good parent to my child? Was I able to incorporate all the things that she needs to learn? So a lot of anxieties going on, and a lot of burden because instead of them focusing just on the work and the household things that they need to do, they also need to be there for their children during their online classes. So it's really very difficult for our parents.
That's right. And how about some tips to the parents out there? Aside from making sure we are eating well and sleeping well, how can we recover from the day's busy schedule? So we want to talk about self-care and the many ways we can do this for ourselves. Dr. Fernandez, could you expound more on this?
Yes, thank you. Self-care definitely, because we are unable to care for our children and for other people if we don't take care of ourselves. Yes, eating, sleeping as well as you can. Exercise should be included also. Keep your body moving as much as you can. And aside from that, maintain a schedule, maintain your routines. Please stay connected. Reach out to friends, reach out to family as much as you can. If you can get to talk to them, it's very important to stay connected, to have somebody to talk to. Aside from that, stay in the present to manage anxiety and stress. Our parents are going through so much, are juggling so many things at the same time. It can make somebody feel anxious. It can make somebody feel really, really stressed. So manage those stress, manage the anxiety that you have. Know your triggers. What sets me off? And when I am feeling that, what are some coping strategies that I can have in place to help me relax, to help me calm down? Be in the present. You see, when we are anxious, when we are stressed, oftentimes we're in the future or we're in the past. Bring yourselves back to the present. Okay, do some mindfulness, do some breathing exercises, continue to engage in activities that make you feel happy. If you like reading, if you like listening to music, if you want watching videos, do it. Be compassionate to yourself, be kind to yourself.
Very good advice. Now, before we go, do you have a message for our audience, Dr. Fernandez?
Yes, everybody is having a hard time. Parents, children, educators, and everybody. But I think what we should really be looking at here right now is how can we get through this in a healthy way? How can we get through this that the repercussions to our physical and mental health are not grave? We have to be kind to ourselves, knowing that this is a challenging time. Let's try to support each other and not make things more difficult. In education, for example, let's try to set expectations that's good for our kids and not so much. Let's try to give them work that they can do and not too much work that's already very difficult for them because they're already trying to cope with the difficulties of what they are going through.
And Dr. Calleja.
So for our parents, I'd just like to tell them that you'll have to remind yourself that no parent is perfect, and we all are trying our best to give the best to our children, especially during these trying times in the period of remote learning. And we shouldn't forget to do self-care for ourselves. We shouldn't forget to take care of ourselves and acknowledge that it's okay to seek help with other people. So a lot of our extended family members, our relatives are living with us. We can actually ask help from them, and it's okay to ask help. And whenever you feel that you're really burdened, remember to always take care of yourselves because we cannot be good parents. We cannot respond well to our children if we wouldn't be well emotionally for our kids.
And with that, we'd like to thank both our guests for today, Dr. Daryl Lindo Calleja, a child and adolescent psychiatrist, and Dr. Angie Sievert Fernandez, a developmental psychologist. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. This is MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. We'll see you next time. Please stay safe.